Imagine for a moment that you're walking along a tranquil beach, breathing in the fresh air and feeling the sand beneath your feet. Suddenly, you stumble upon something strange. A body, perfectly dressed in a suit, but with no identification. And the most bizarre thing of all, it doesn't seem to have been murdered, but rather, abandoned? This happened in 1948, in Australia, and no one has ever solved the mystery. The man found on the beach became known as the Somerton Man, and his case remains one of the greatest enigmas in history. But what makes this crime so unusual is the fact that, besides being a mystery about the victim's identity, there's a cryptic code connected to the case. And to this day, no detective, not even the most experienced, has been able to solve it. The only clue was a phrase in Persian, written on a piece of paper found inside the man's pocket, Tamam shud, which means finished or ended. What could this message mean? Who was this man? The case became an obsession for investigators, but the mystery remains unsolved. And what's even more intriguing is that, after decades, no one knows if the man was involved in espionage, if the case was a suicide, or if there is a much bigger plot behind it. But the fact is, after all these years, the Somerton Man is still one of the world's most mysterious stories. Now, imagine a remote farm in Germany, in 1922. A cold night, the wind howling through the trees, and total silence. The scene seems calm, but inside a house far from the city, terror was about to unfold. In Hinterkaifeck, an entire family was brutally murdered, and the killer stayed in the house for days after the crime, leaving no trace. Neighbors grew suspicious of the silence and decided to check on the family. When they arrived, they found the bodies of 6 people, including a 2-year-old child. The scene was horrifying, but the most disturbing part were the earlier reports made by the family, stating they had heard strange footsteps in the attic, as if someone was hiding there. After the murder, when neighbors arrived, they noticed the animals were being fed, and the fire in the fireplace was still burning. The killer had stayed in the house for days after the crime, but was never found. Investigations failed to reach any conclusion. Was it an act of revenge? Someone from the house involved? Or was it a crime committed by a stranger who knew the family's routine? The Hinterkaifeck case was never solved, leaving an even bigger mystery in the air. Who, or what, caused that massacre? Let's now head to the eerie setting of a remote island in Scotland, in 1900. 3 lighthouse keepers were sent to maintain the watch at the Flannan Isles Lighthouse. They knew the job was isolated, but nothing could prepare them for what would happen. One night, the light of the lighthouse went out, and a passing ship noticed the signal was missing. At first, they thought the lamp had malfunctioned. But when a team was sent to investigate, they found the lighthouse empty. No sign of the keepers. No evidence of a struggle. Just a disturbing diary left behind, which only confused investigators even more. One of the keepers wrote about a terrifying storm, but no weather records confirmed the existence of such a storm on the days mentioned. What happened to the 3 keepers? Were they swept away by the sea? Kidnapped? Or did something supernatural occur? Theories abound, but no concrete evidence has ever been found. The mystery of the Flannan Isles Lighthouse remains unsolved, with many questions and few answers. Now, we move to Victorian England, in 1876. Life seemed to be peaceful in the home of lawyer Charles Brevoux, until suddenly, he died in a very strange way. He was slowly poisoned, but the poison was administered in such a way that it wasn't immediately detected. For 3 days, he agonized and refused to reveal who could have poisoned him. This led investigators to question everyone around him. Could it have been his wife, who was trapped in an unhappy marriage and was an influential woman? Or perhaps his governess, who had dark secrets in her past? Was the poisoning planned, or was it an act of revenge? The slow, cruel manner in which the poison worked left everyone stunned, but the worst part was that, even with all the suspects around, no one was convicted. The reason for Charles Brevoux's murder remains a mystery, and to this day, no one knows for sure who was responsible for his death. And finally, we arrive at the last mystery, one that involves yet another woman and an isolated place, but this time, we are talking about a remote valley in Norway, in 1970. In a desolate scene, a woman was found dead, her body burned, and around the crime scene, there were bizarre clues, fake passports, coded messages, and a series of different identities she had used over the years. There was no logical explanation for who she could have been or what she was doing there. The investigation deepened, but the woman was never identified, and the clues seemed to lead to dead ends. Some theories suggest she was a spy, perhaps murdered to silence her, while others think she was involved in something much larger. But the fact is, the Isdal Woman mystery remains unsolved to this day, with few clues but many theories about what really happened. Who was she? What did she know? The mystery continues. These are just a few examples of historical crimes that defy our understanding. History is full of mysteries, and often, even with the best tools and investigations, some answers remain beyond our reach. Will any of these cases ever be solved? Or will these truths remain hidden forever? These mysteries live on, sparking our curiosity and making us question the true nature of some of the greatest enigmas in history. If you also get obsessed with stories like these, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more investigations into the greatest mysteries ever recorded. Because the truth, often, is stranger than fiction.